8:32 exactly, news and views on Salam Media. And of course, there's been some good news out of the kingdom, Saudi Arabia, about obviously the Umrah season opening up again. But the not so good news for us as South Africans is that we're on that supposed red list, one of 9 countries who will not be able to, or we are able to attend Umrah, but under certain conditions. To tell us more about this is Shaheen Essop, President of the South African Hajj and Umrah Council. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program. And as I've said, good and not so good news. Shaheen? Shaheen? Okay, I think we have just lost him there. Let's try again. It is 8:33. You're with me, Julie Ali, on News and Views right here on Salam Media. Waiting to hear from you on 061 766 0355. What's on your mind this morning? Is it the cold weather? Is it the fact that children are being impacted in KZN? Obviously in the Phoenix area attending school, and parents are concerned about their safety. What about the children in the Western Cape who aren't able to go to school because of the taxi wars? So let's have your thoughts on that issue. Whilst obviously we're waiting to reconnect with Shaheen Essop on this cold Tuesday morning, right here in Gauteng, Salam Media. 8:33, and we do have Shaheen Essop online. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, Julie?
With your du'as, alhamdulillah. As I've said in my intro, I don't know if you heard that, it's good news and not so good news as far as the Umrah season is concerned.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, as much as we welcome the news for internationals being open, the restrictions are still going to be there. We see it already, from a point of view that the Saudi Mu'tamirin that have come into Makkah, it's not free flow. It's not the free reign of the Haram. So you still need to make your booking, to perform Umrah. You're going to have an allocated time. You're going to be guided along. So all those processes are going to remain in place in that particular regard. But more importantly, you need to have your vaccinations in place before you can even consider getting there. There are 9 countries that remain on the red list. The last time we spoke prior to Hajj, we spoke about these countries that were on the red list. And that remains so, which means that if you're a fully vaccinated person, you could possibly go via a third country, spend 14 days in quarantine in that country, then come into the kingdom. They may still retain you for 3 days in quarantine as you enter the kingdom, and then allocate you your Umrah time in order for you to go for Umrah. So you're going to be away from home for a period of maybe 25 to 27 days. You're going to spend maybe 7 days at the most in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. You've got to ask yourself, at what cost, and, is it really worth it? I was doing some numbers, and Jordan, for example, is a country that you could possibly go to. So you fly Joburg, Qatar, Amman. You stay there for 14 days. You go from Amman, you go to Saudi. You spend your Umrah. Your ticket alone will be north of 15,000 Rand.
Sure.
Let's not even talk about your land arrangements in this particular regard. And that in itself becomes very excessive and out of reach of the average family in our country. What makes it even worse, Julie, is that when you look at some of the requirements that they put down, you can't have more than 2 people per room. So if a family of 4 or a family of 8 want to go, you've got additional rooms that you're going to have to buy, for your period in Makkah, your period in Medina. Right. And that all comes at additional cost to you. One of the interviews that was had recently, shows that there is nothing open around the Haram area in terms of shops, in terms of food, or any of that particular process. You're going to have to do full board or half board with the hotel. Again, that pushes up the pricing because, all these prices, all these values need to be recouped by these service providers.
So, Shaheen, there's obviously what comes to mind then is, obviously, if you can afford it and, you've got the money, alhamdulillah, you can then go. But there are these other restrictions to consider as well, as you've pointed out, stores not being opened, and that can become pretty inconvenient. But over and above all of that, what are the chances, as far as Sahuk is concerned, to approach the kingdom on behalf of South African Hujjaj or the South African public, that they take us off that red list, that we are compliant in terms of our numbers are coming down, and whoever is intending this journey will have a vaccination passport, so to speak?
You see, at the end of the day, that is not SAUC's role. We can advise, and we work very closely with DIRCO in this particular regard. DIRCO obviously works with their Department of Health from our government, and the information flow between the various departments and the counterparts in the kingdom is certainly information that is flowing considerably smoothly. WHO is obviously the pinnacle of this whole process, and information will be flowing accordingly. The mere fact that we've already got over 6 million people vaccinated is a clear indication that we are getting to reasonable immunity, herd immunity from that point of view. The problem that we're faced with is that we're still sitting quite high up in our third wave, and infections are still quite considerable. And therefore, if the host country decides that they want to bar you, because remember, South Africa is not the only country. Indonesia is another country. You've got, India, another country. Pakistan is another country. Now, they're doing this based on the fact that they want to be prejudicial. They're doing this because they are concerned about the COVID, variants and the spread of those variants when people come to Makkah or to Medina in that regard. Remember, their economic situation is such that they need as many mu'tamirin as possible to come through their doors. Because if that happens, it will help them boost their economy. They too are suffering in a very, very severe state. Hotels have closed down. Some hotels have gone into dormant situation. Companies on that side have had to close down as a result of the situation that you are faced with. 18 months of COVID with no people coming through the doors doesn't make for easy, goings in any business or in any country.
Absolutely. And of course, the shutdown is in everybody, the global ummah's best interest.
Absolutely.
I do know that obviously Hajj and Umrah, you being the president of the council, this is a matter very close to your heart, and you do keep your ear to the ground as far as all of these issues are concerned. Now, despite the fact that South Africa didn't have any Hujjaj this year, I think there were a few people, a handful of people, 1 or 2 agents and a few Maulanas that had attended. What sort of feedback have you guys received on this Hajj? What was the feeling like?
I must say, alhamdulillah, the success of this Hajj has certainly been evident from the point of view that the Saudis control thereof, and the fact that there were absolutely no COVID cases recorded, in the period of Hajj is instrumental to why the Saudis have done what they did. Unconfirmed reports from the kingdom indicate that plus minus 16 expatriate South Africans who reside in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia were able to perform Hajj, alhamdulillah. And as a result of that, people were elated with the service that they got, albeit at a cost. Because remember, the 5 days of Hajj, there were 3 different packages. And the package started at 55,000 Rand and went up to 76,000 Rand. Sure. Now, that's only for 5 days. And when you look at what you pay for a 6-week package for Hajj from South Africa, people in this country were complaining that that's too expensive. When you start looking at what is, out there only for the 5 days, then you realize how blessed we are in South Africa for the costs that we're paying, across the board from the various operators. So yes, alhamdulillah, it was successful. It is sad that none of these national, pilgrims could go from all the countries around the world, but 150 countries were represented in Saudi Arabia from expatriates that resided in the country. And that in itself is a great feat. And inshallah, those people made dua for all of us, and also made dua for the upliftment of COVID from the dunya, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. My final question, for those people listening into us this morning and who can afford to stay in quarantine for 10 days or 15 days, 14 days in a country before they arrive in Saudi Arabia, what is the procedure they need to follow? Because obviously there aren't any agents that they can go to.
I think that's a very, very important fact that needs to be stated. Right now, South Africa is part of a list of countries that have not yet been activated for authorization of Umrah agents. It is imperative that people who have got the ability to go must make sure that they only deal with authorized agents. And right now, there are no authorized agents. As soon as this list of authorized agents become available, we will share it with the media and we will share it with everybody concerned. But right now, the key is do not part with your money, do not make any deposits until such time as an agent can provide you with the proof that he or she is an authorized agent.
Shaheen, we'll keep a close contact on this issue with you, and you can update us as things develop further. Shukran, as always, for being available to talk to us, and go well. Assalamu alaikum.
Jazakallah, Julie. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
That was Shaheen Essop from Sahuk updating us on the Umrah situation. The season has opened in the Holy Lands, but of course, as you've heard, we are on the red list, which means that if we do want to go, it's going to cost us lots and lots of money. But alhamdulillah, if you can afford it, then, and if you know your invitation is there, may it go well for you. 8:43 exactly, news and views on Salam Media.
A strip of land